Hello folks. So we're going to do a quick video today just to talk about a few different designs. Before I get started with all that, some of it might be a bit negative. It's not really supposed to be negative, although it is, so I'm not going to keep it on all the time. We're just going to do this live feed. Anybody wants to talk about it, we can do. I'll probably leave it on for a couple of days, but it's not something I want stuck on the page because, like I say, it is a bit kind of negative, and it doesn't relate to our own harnesses really, so it's pointless having it on. So it's a bit of a discussion. You're welcome to ask questions. You can ask questions on any of our designs or any why our designs are like the way they are, and also I'm sure you'll see the harnesses, the designs that we're talking about, but please don't use other companies' names. I'm not gonna. It's not fair on them. It's not what this is about. It's one of the designs I really want to talk about because it's been on my mind for a couple of years now, and I keep on seeing it and it's wrong, and I've got to talk about it. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to talk about some designs that we've done in the past and why elements of them have been wrong, and that's why they haven't gone any further. We're going to show you a couple of colours that we did. We'll leave them to the end so we can end on a positive note. So,
hello Barra and hello Julia, thanks for joining us.
Hi guys. Thanks. So, I'm just going to take my time and waffle through this. Hopefully you've got a bit of time.
Hello Sari.
Hi Sari. So hopefully you've got a bit of time to sit down and just chill out. So I recommend you pull up a sandbag, open a beer, and we'll have a blether. Hopefully you all know what a blether is. Okay, right, down to the main topic. Open back harnesses. What a theme to start with. I can hear you going, oh Billy, don't go there, don't go there. But there's stuff that we need to talk about here. And everybody's got their own view on open back harnesses. And I don't want to really talk about the benefits of the open back. What I want to talk about is the structure and the balance of an open back harness.
Hello Rune.
Hi Rune. You notice the sun shining here, Rune? No snow. Pouring the rain a minute ago though. Right, so what we're going to talk about to start with is the open back harness design. I want to discuss with you how the balance of it affects the harness and also affects the dog. And it's a big major thing. It's something that really grinds on me. I see this certain design and straight away my mind goes to how the dog is going to be as soon as it starts pulling into that. So, what we need to look at before we even talk about these harnesses is the balance of pull. Now, pretty much everybody knows, or they've heard about balance. A lot of people will know about balance, and it's all to do with when the line is attached to the dog. If it's here, for example, the pulling point, the main pulling point is about here. So if that line is going an invisible line through here, you have to have balance on the top and the bottom so it doesn't alter the dog when it's pushing into it. I'll explain that a little bit more, but not too much because we've done a video like that before. So you've got this invisible line that goes through here that has the pull attached to it. Now, a harness that I see, and there's more and more people doing it, and I really don't know why because it sticks out like a sore thumb to me, is where you've got the strap coming down here and this bottom strap goes like that. Can everybody see what I'm talking about there? Can you see, have you got that on pretty well? That's wrong. Because you don't have any top balance at all. All the pull is coming from the underneath. Let me just take these into place. Come prepared. Right. Yeah. Now, can everybody see what's wrong with that? Have you seen harnesses like this before? So, the major problem I have with this, there isn't any structure here to hold this in place. There's no top balance. Okay? Now, this design is wrong, but there are designs with an open back that are right. You've got both balance, correct. With this, it's really wrong. Because as soon as you pull on there, this is going to come up, and that is going to rotate forward. And there's nothing stopping it. There's no structure or framework to hold that all in place. There is nothing to stop that, the neck of the dog and the head of the dog getting pushed down. So as soon as that gets pulled, this gets pulled here, and that gets pushed down. So you've got a lot of pressure straight away on there. The dog can't fight against it. He's trying to push forward and he's getting pushed right down on the neck like that. So as soon as that pulls, this rotates, it pushes down on here, and this gets pulled back. So the whole thing goes like that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you, Gail?
Mhm.
Yeah? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? So now I'm going to go on to an open back design that I think is well balanced, it's correctly balanced, and there are companies doing them. There's reasons why we didn't go any further with it, but I'll show you what I'm talking about there instead. So just going back to this.
Stop a minute. What about H-backs? This is Sabina. What about H-backs? Are they balanced?
There's no real reason why an H-back shouldn't be balanced. It's a different setup altogether. So yes, it's all about this balance of pull. With this, it should come from here. So you should have enough structure on the top and enough structure on the bottom for the harness not to pull unevenly at the top or the bottom. With H-backs, they're generally along there, and the strap's over here, or the strap over here. The strap, it doesn't necessarily mean it's doing an awful lot. If this bit here was extended like that and attached there, you would have pretty much of an even pull. It wouldn't, it wouldn't be uneven, but when it's down here like that, it's very uneven. There's nothing, you need that support to have that full top and bottom structure, to have that balance.
Hi Malin and Indrek and Lindy Kirk. Is this sled dog harness or canicross? Does it make a difference?
Broadly speaking, hi guys, thanks for coming. Broadly speaking, it doesn't make a difference. The structure of a harness, the harness should have whatever structure needed for whatever sport it's doing anyway. This type of harness, it's not good for anything. It's not good for canicross, it's not good for bike tour, it's not good for sled dog sports, because it's completely unbalanced. It's the most unbalanced harness that I think I've ever come across. So if we're talking extremes, this is way out there on the extreme, and it can do your dog harm. If you understand what I'm talking about here, when you pull on that, and all that pull is coming from underneath, there's nothing stopping that dog's head getting pushed forward. You could be talking about spinal, you could be talking about neck. All the pull is coming on that web there. This pulls up and the pressure gets pushed down. So no, this design is not good for canicross, mushing or anything.
Christine Vizina, I hope I've pronounced that properly, Christine. She understands, she's been concerned about the harness design for a while but couldn't articulate why.
Excellent, good.
Lindy Kirk, I'm thinking the pull of Canicross will be at a higher angle than Sled Dog, but I'm a Canicross runner and know little about sledding.
Okay, so if we're talking about Canicross, let's talk about the angle of pull. Now, in all fairness, if I was going to lower this angle, and that web was coming down to there, for example, it wouldn't be pulling, it wouldn't be pushing so much on there. If I was going to raise this angle, we're going to increase the pressure there because you've got a higher pull point. So there's going to be more chance of it rotating forward and putting even more pressure on there. So this type of harness is bad overall, but it's even worse for a higher pull point.
Bara, again, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Do you think it applies to all shapes of dogs? I find that shorter and wider look different than hounds, for example.
All types of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
All types of dogs. Hiya Bara, good to see you on here. I'm not sure, are you talking about the balance?
If you just clarify if it's the balance, Bara. Indrek, such harnesses tend to climb to the armpit also, which is poo-poo, it is poo-poo.
Indrek, that's an interesting point there. So if your chest is measured out, and I know you're making harnesses as well now, Indrek, good luck with that. If the chest is measured out, and wherever your chest is going to fall, if this is going forward, when this is pulled, and this is going forward, the chest piece is going to come back. So realistically, it shouldn't be going under the armpit. It should be coming further back from the armpit. What you will have is it'll be coming down a bit more on the neck. Now, that's not really going to make any difference if it's getting pulled down on the neck. I've heard, no, I won't go there.
Well done.
I'm talking about the negative pressure that's going down on the neck, because when this pulls, that rotates forward. There's no structure here to hold this back. So you've got to have that structure, top and bottom, to get an even balance. So when it's pulled here, it doesn't push one way or the other. Okay. Now let's just talk slightly about the open back. When I designed an open back harness, there wasn't any reason for me. No, when I designed an open back harness, it wasn't with the intention of freeing up the movement in the back. It wasn't to do with that at all. It was all about balance. I'm going to show you that just now. So, I personally, my own thoughts, I do prefer a bit of structure there. It's a safety net for one. You know, it just holds things together better. And I'll give you an idea of this in a minute. Right, so hopefully everybody knows what we're talking about there.
Can we go back to Bara's question?
Yeah, Bara.
Do you think it all applies to all shapes of dogs? Find that shorter and wider look different for a hound, for example? And he says yes, and the tension on top.
Not fully sure what you mean there. For shorter and longer dogs, it should all have the same problem. You know, you've still got all that pull coming from the underside. Like I say, if that, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing here, Barry, but say the dog was shorter, then this would be further along the back. So you would have more of an even pull. But still, the idea, if it's like that, you can see even more how that would be detrimental when pulled there. So the further that comes back, the more even the pull. But the problem that I found when we went further back like that, there, you've just got too much space here. There's too much twist, there's too much movement. You've got to have that downward structure as well. So yeah, we've done this before, and it was, you know, it was all right. You could kind of go with it, but there's just too much movement in the front of the dog. There's too much room for them to move around in here, and like I say, there's too much harness rotation. Okay. Any other questions on this idea?
Lindy Kirk says she's also trying to make harnesses, and the last open back I did was more like the one you said does work better, but I've not seen any others with similar geometry.
Okay. Yeah, so if you are going to make harnesses with this design, just keep in mind what I've been talking about there, and either go a bit further. What you even can do, which is a thought I had as well, was taking it back to there, like that. I think we made something like that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Taking it back to there like that, and having a strap down there.
Yeah, we did.
So that's going to give you a quite nice structure there. I mean, you could even, if you wanted to take it a bit further, you could even do it like an H-back across there. I'm not sure if I've seen harnesses out there like that, but that's just an idea that's just come to me. But you could have a bit of structure down there, a bit of structure over the top, and you might be alright. One thing you want to watch when you're putting straps across here is that edge of the rib cage. It's a bit of a delicate area, and we're going to talk about that as well. Okay, right, so we'll leave it on that. Anybody else got any questions?
Well, Barra's come back. I think that's it. It is further back from the front leg. Thanks.
Great. Right.
And Lindy, that makes sense about the open structure at the front, leaving too much freedom to twist and lose stability.
Yes, exactly right. Great stuff. See, I'm not as stupid as you thought.
Well.
Okay, so this is an idea that we were messing around with this a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months, 2 years ago kind of thing. I tried loads of different ways, loads of different ideas and tweaks, and we were pretty much almost there. We could have brought it out, but there's just one main point that I don't really like. Now, let's start with the balance. Now, I don't know if you can see, but this idea, when it comes up here and then goes straight, is the right way to do it. If anybody's going to do that, that's the way you want it to go. You want it to come straight through there. And all this does here is just provides a little kind of cage, if you like, to hold that balance in place. So when that's pulled, if I pull that, it's got equal top and bottom balance.
Can you do it with your other arm? Because your arm's covering the thing. Do it. Yeah. No, this arm is covered in things. That's the one. That's what I want.
Right. So I wish I'd made the other one up. You would have seen what I mean. So if the dog's in there, and that's your main pull point there, when you pull on there, you want it equal on the top and the bottom. Can you see what's happening there? And that's because it comes up and along, rather than straight from the bottom. If it comes straight from the bottom to there, it would go like that. As soon as it pulled, it would go like that on the dog. You see? Whereas it's pulled here, you've got that invisible line going straight through to there. Does that make sense? Okay. So why didn't we go ahead with this? Oh, that's another good point as well. And this is a worry I do have about open back harnesses. It's the pivot point. Okay? Now, as your dog's running, or a hound's running, more houndy, husky kind of thing, their back is going like that. Okay? If you haven't got that balance, and that's pushing down, and it's putting all that strain on there, that's a real concern. When you've got an X back, and you've got the bracing going over here, when the dog is bending, you've got some structure there, just to hold everything in case he over accentuates. Is that the right word? Over accentuate sounds right.
Over.
With this, again, you've got the balance, you've got a good line of pull, a balance of pull all the way through, but again, when he's pulling, everything's pivoting here. So he could over stretch it on the back quite easily, and there's nothing there to support it. So once I started playing around with these designs, I didn't really like, this. It's just too kind of vulnerable as far as I'm concerned. There's not enough support and structure for the dog. And my other concern is this bit here. When it's on, and when I did some trials with it on my own dogs, there's a pressure point there. Now the pressure there isn't anywhere near as much as here, up here, or down there, but there is pressure there, especially on that bit of the rib cage where it's tender. Okay, so you need to think about that tender part there, because I'm going to talk about that on another design as well. So when the dogs pull in, that there is creating a bit of a pressure point that I didn't really like. So you can see how far I think about things when I'm doing these harnesses, and as far as I'll go with it. I mean, a lot of you shaped the journey with this type of idea, and you can see how much work we put into getting to this point, and all the little tweaks and all the little centimetre here, centimetre there. Because the other problem with this is that balance has really got to be spot on, a lot more than an X-Back has. Because like I say, if you're just out a little bit there, and you're straight away putting pressure down on that back or wherever, uneven pressure, it's wrong, it's completely wrong. So trying to get that balance on a type of harness like this, it's very difficult. You've got to do a lot of tweaks, I mean months, even a year. So the pressure point there and the vulnerability stopped me from going any further with that. Any questions on that one? Is there anybody left? Is anybody still there, Gil?
Aye.
Oh, that's alright.
I think so.
Good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to talk about another style.
You've got your bottom to the camera, dear.
Oh, sorry. Now this one, we were playing around with this idea a couple of years ago as well. I'm sure some of you were following the journey. It's basically an X-Back with this bit kinked here. Now, some of you might wonder why we wanted to kink that. Some of you might know. It's all to do with anybody that makes harnesses. I'm pretty sure this would be a bugbear for them.
I'll stop you there now. Christine has to go to work. Hopes leaves this up to watch later. Very informative. Wondering how all this applies to zero DC. We're not allowed to say those words.
Right,
They're
you
swear
weren't
words.
allowed to say any.
Faster if you don't mind talking about specific brands, she's saying.
No, I don't want to run down I don't want to run down any other brands. I'm talking about designs. But what I will say about Zero DC, whether you like the open back or you don't like the open back, or whether you like the material that the harness is made out of, the concept of the Zero DC one is correct for an open back. It's like I was talking about, where all the pull comes evenly direct through there. So in my eyes, the Zero DC, because it's coming from the pull from here, it should be well balanced. Whether you like the idea of it being an open back or not, that's a different story. Okay, but guys, let's not talk about other companies. It's not fair on them if they can't. It's not fair on me if I'm rubbish in their designs.
Becca May Haas. Hi Becca. Is Run Dog appropriate for racing line Siberians?
Hi Becca, excellent question. Initially, our harnesses were all designed around our hounds. We were making sled dog harnesses before we started Run Dog, and we made them for Siberians and every other type of dog as well. But when we started Run Dog officially, we wanted to keep it fairly exclusive just to our types of dogs. So that's how it started. From there was some racing Sib teams. Jamie Perry, Diane Wright out in America, and quite a few others. They've got racing line Siberians. They wanted to get them and wanted to try them, and I was honest with them. I says, it might not work for your types of dogs, I don't know, but you're welcome to give it a go. a sales rep out in America, Mandy Collins, she was trying it on Siberians out there. And it was quite funny at the time because I was saying, Mandy, that shouldn't really be done. They're not designed for those types of dogs. But Mandy was
Brandy as well.
Brandy as well, and Mandy was already there, and she was telling me, look, it's working pretty well on these types of dogs. So there's actually more similarities between our types of hounds, open class type hounds, and Siberians. My own hounds are they're roughly about 65-70% Alaskan Husky and a smaller amount Pointer. So my dogs have probably got, even though they don't look it, they've probably got more in line with the traditional Husky than they have the Pointer side of things. And what we've found from our experiments so far, and from other teams who work in Siberians using them, we get less problems with fit from those dogs than we do with, say, like purebred Pointers, for example. So just a couple of months ago there, we made some changes or some new developments to the harnesses. You can now buy a short and a long version of each harness. So this really suits dogs that might have a slightly wider neck or a shorter back or anything else. But generally speaking, your working Siberians should be pretty much, the standard fit should apply to them pretty much as well. Okay, hope that.
Malin, Dr. Jerry Vanek have talked about the importance of the straight line from behind the front leg into the tail. My experience is that a lot of X-backs have a short cross on the back that pulls the... hang on... under and of the harness up. I don't quite understand that.
I do.
Do you know what? Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking. Is it Malin?
Yeah.
I am Malin. Yeah, that's really good talk there. Let me get a...
Under the band of the harness, that's what he's saying. Sorry.
That's quite technical talk, that, Malin. That's harness designers talk, really. So this is one that I've just finished for a customer. I've got two there for them. Right. So yeah, when you're making the harnesses, the only measurements we really need is the neck and the length. Will you come up here?
Yes.
So the only measurements we really need is the neck and the length. And the length comes from there to there, neck comes from there to there, that point at there.
Lindy was asking earlier,
Can I just finish this one first?
how do you gauge the long piece down the breastbone? Is that going to be in this bit?
So I think what you're talking about is the amount of room that's in the X back here. What we tend to do is allow a little bit more room in there. Otherwise, right, I'm going to try and not confuse you. When I talk about harness distortion, I'm talking about where it distorts here when it pulls, when it goes like that. Okay? That's what I call harness distortion. Now, the reason why we developed this one is because you won't get the same amount of harness distortion when you pull. You don't get that flexing out because you've got that again. You've got to think about this invisible pull line, pull point, going straight through there. So that's why, and also your X is holding it in place as well.
Kids, who'd have them?
I know. Dogs are quiet, it's the kids that make all the noise. So yeah, so when you're pulling like that, you've got this kink in the harness. This is why I designed it like this. It's so you don't get that distortion there. Now that distortion comes obviously because the dog is arching its back and it's fighting against the structure of the harness. It's fine when the dog's running. Once it's got into its strides, whether it's an open class dog or it's comfortable at whatever speed it's kind of doing, and there's not a lot of arching going on, your harness should pretty much stay as it is. You only really get this distortion and the dog's really powering into it. It's something I would rather have than this other concept, and I'll explain why. So this distortion here comes from dog pulling. This can affect it. The length of this bit can affect it. The angles can affect it. And also your angles here play a part in it. So it's something when we make harnesses, we spend a long time, years, doing these little tweaks to lessen these things. It's when you're making harnesses, this is the bit that'll take you the longest. This is, you know, when you first start making a harness, you'll make one in 6 months or whatever, maybe a year of messing around, and you think it's all right, and then it's the next 4 or 5 years or whatever, even longer, is doing these little tweaks to minimise the distortion, and minimise the movement going on inside. So that's the standard X-Back. This idea here, we did this to avoid that distortion. It works. It really does work. It's not a bad idea. You don't get the same concentration, pressure, pull from these two areas, which I don't like. That might sound a bit strange. The beauty of this, it's a good fitting X-Back. You get a nice even pull from here, nice even pull from here. This holds it all together. So that balance, pull, pressure is lovely and evenly spread all the way through the harness and the dog. This concept, it almost provides like an empty cage, if that makes sense. There's a lot more pull on this bit, and it's almost like it gets diluted. It gets diluted when it gets to this point, a lot more than it does with this. And I find there's a lot more movement in this in the dog. I'm not getting the same. You actually need that pressure. It's a fine tune. You need a little pressure there. The other big problem I had with this bit, and this might make sense to you, it might not. When you go back to what we were talking about earlier, where I don't really want a pressure point there. If I had it on my own dogs, and I'm thinking back to the times when I was a paratrooper and used to carry big Bergens, pounds, 120 pounds, and that kind of thing for 30 mile and stuff. Any little niggle was really painful after a while, and I put all that concept and all that thought process into when I'm doing harnesses as well. I can't get around it. You know, if it's wrong, I can't go with it. But I'm thinking how it's going to feel on the dogs. So little niggly pressure points are a thing that I bother about. The problem with this one is pressure here. It's that angle there. And there's no real way around it. If you made it less of an angle and it was a bit lower, you would still have that pressure on there. Because what happens when you pull on that, those bits go in. That gets pulled, pull there, those bits go in. So you've got constant pressure just on those two bits, just on that bit there. So anybody, you know, anybody that's interested in harness design or how it feels and how it's going to work on the dog, I think you'll understand how, for me anyway, that would be quite an annoying thing mile after mile. You will get a little rub point there as well. It depends how much movement is in the harness, but because that edge is right on there, right there, it's going to cause a bit.
And Lindy's having to go. Hope to catch up with
Hey
her
Lindy,
later.
thanks for coming. So, going back to this idea, I would actually rather, as much as I would rather get away from this distortion, I would rather have a little bit of distortion there that's non-permanent than have something that's a permanent pressure point on this side. So that's why we didn't go ahead with that. Oh. How long will we be waffling now?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see because it's bright, sunny, no snow and no rain. Look, blue sky.
Barbecue. Has anybody got any questions?
Not yet.
Any questions on what we've been talking about, or even questions on other... Teddy, hey! Shush. Any questions on what we've been talking about, or questions about any other part of the harness or anything else?
Mona Lisa Johansson,
Hi, Mona.
thank you for sharing this.
More than welcome.
I think Brandy's hooked up with Barra, is it? No.
Hiya, Brandy.
With the Sibes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great.
I can't. Becca, I think.
Becca,
I can't see now because it's too sunny.
Can you shift position?
I don't want to get me washing in.
Right. If you go right that way, you'll have the sun right in you. Any other questions?
Mail-in. Hi, Marie. Mail-in for the most... Oh, gosh, it's going too fast. Hold on. Where are we? And thank you. For the most harnesses I see, they are pulling the neck opening more up and over the shoulder than putting pressure and pulling the neck down. And then Indrex replied, yeah, you see a lot of harnesses that want to choke the dog.
Yes. Yeah, that all goes back to balance. And not having the correct balance. Once you start thinking about doing harnesses, we're going that way now, right?
That's better.
Once you start making harnesses and once you start thinking about balance, you can't not think about it. It's just, you know, it's 80% of how you make the harnesses. Your whole mindset is around the balance. Yes, but with a lot of harnesses, and I still see it, and these are big brands that have been on the go for a while, as soon as it's pulled, it will pull up into the trachea. I've seen other ones when it pulls down, and they say the main selling point is it opens up the trachea. It opens up the trachea because it's pushing down on the back of the neck. And, you know, neck strain like that, no. But in all fairness, when the neck's too big, you've got the same kind of problem. And if you don't have enough room at the back here, you're going to have, if the angle of the neck is too far back, you're going to have pressure on there. So where we want our necks, we want them up here. We don't want them down there. Most harnesses that you'll see, the neck is on there. And when most people get in touch with us, that's where they think the neck is supposed to be. They can't really get their head around it being more like a collar idea. And the collar fit isn't anything new, but it is something that we believe in, and it really helps spread the load without putting too much negative pressure just on the shoulders alone. So when we take our measurements, this is a good point for you. Can you hand me? You might find this a bit interesting. When we get our measurements from people, we take it there between the shoulder blades. And it comes down here to there. Okay. So that's kind of where they expect the harness to sit. But if you imagine, you would get the same measurement with a piece of string. But once you add 40 centimetres width to it, and 6 mil of padding plus the webbing, that's going to bring that up further. But if I got you to measure where I would want it naturally sitting, by the time you put that padding in, you're not going to be able to get it over the top of the head. So even though we're telling you to measure here, it's with a finished concept of it being about there. I can't because his lugs are stuck to there. So I do. It wants to come down past the throat and just sit, just a bit up at the back of the neck, and it wants to be snug. It wants to be snug. So all that pressure in the drive is spread through this whole front of the dog, rather than it sitting heavy on the shoulders and just all that negative energy getting pushed down on the shoulders or the top of the back there. So this, that wants to be snug like that on the dog.
Kate Campbell. Hi, Kate.
Hiya, Kate.
Have you any plans to have anybody available with a sizing kit at any UK races this year?
That's an interesting one, Kate. It's pretty unlikely I'm going to be doing any more racing now. That's a different topic altogether, but my older dogs are too old, and there's problems with some of them, and I've only got one young dog left that's fit, so I doubt it's going to be me. And I've never felt the need to get another UK sales rep because I look after all the sales over here. So I don't know. Let me think about that. Can't give you an answer just now, though. I think one answer I could give you is we've actually sold quite a lot of harnesses in the UK, more than I thought we would, to be honest. So there's actually quite a lot of teams and canicrossers and bike tours and stuff like that that's got a good selection of sizes of our harnesses. So you could potentially find a range of sizes out there that you might be able to try on. Ah, dear. Does that answer your question? No.
Your diplomatic skills, your diplomacy skills are improving.
Are they?
Aye.
It's a Sunday, I'm doing the
I know, aye.
I know. I've not even had a whole beer yet. I've had a couple of mouthfuls. Right, okay. So this is another idea that we messed around with. You can see with the webbing, this is a long time ago we played around with this idea. So what I wanted is a fully padded harness. I don't really see any need for any padding in there, but I wanted a full pad all the way through, and it was around the idea of comfort, and the idea of it being comfortable should work. It should work, but my downsides, there's no need to have padding in there at all. That bit hardly even touches anything, so it's just complete overkill.
Oh, in that bit, I wondered what you were talking about.
It's just complete overkill putting any padding in there, and for all the messing around, it's quite time consuming doing our harnesses, and adding more time to do little bits like that when they're really not necessary. No, we need to lessen the time, if anything. So why didn't we go with the padding on here? One main reason. I feel it puts. Gail, what are you doing?
I'm looking. Yes, I'm still.
I feel. I feel. Can we get back on topic? Right. So why didn't we go with padding on here? I felt it put unnecessary pressure on the top part of the back there. It's quite a bit of extra padding, and it does make quite a bit of change to how much pressure goes on that rib cage at the back there. It's not an area that should move an awful lot, so you shouldn't really get any problems with rubber or anything there. I do sometimes see the webbing going underneath the fur, and the fur getting picked up a little bit, but I've never noticed from any of our harnesses, nobody's ever come back to me and said they're getting rub at that point. If they did come back to me and they were saying they were getting rub at that point, it's something I would look at, but up until now we've never had any problems there. So if there's no problems, I don't see a need to put the extra pressure on there. It's not really an air, that bit there, you don't want any pressure on there if it's not needed. Okay, Right, so we're going to wrap up pretty soon, I think, unless anybody's got any more questions.
Oh, that's a shame, because Alexandra Rolwoska,
Hiya.
apologies for the pronunciation, has just clicked in.
You've missed quite a bit. You'll have to catch up later with it. What we can show you.
Oh, close up. Oh, Jess. Hello, Jess.
Hiya, Jess. You've missed the majority of it, Jess. You'll have to wait until it comes back on so you can catch up with what we were talking about earlier. So we're just going to finish up now. We've talked about the harnesses. Has anybody got any more questions on the harnesses? Fire them in if you want. I'm just going to finish up with talking about our leads and our collars. So we brought out a lead. There's nothing majorly fantastic to say about a lead, but I have to make it sound a bra. I think bra is Rune still there?
Well, he's not.
Bra, I think, is a Norwegian. I think it's the same saying as us. We say bra for good. And I think in Norwegian it's bra is good as well. Anyway, swiftly moving on.
Oh.
Right, so we've got a patented bit here. Nice and comfortable. Everybody wants a bit of comfortable in the hand grip.
Comfort.
Bit of comfort on the hand grip. So we've got 3mm padding, and it's covered in whatever colours you want to go with your harnesses potentially. These are our new labels. Hope you like them. Nice simple design.
Mona Lisa Johansson bra for good, yes.
Yay, bra. Bra in Scotland is something different. I don't wear them. Right, so we've got the padded handle, and we've got, some people call it a traffic grip, or a grab. So, you know, if you're going up to the start line, for example, you probably won't have traditionally you would have just went like that, but you can get a bit sore on your hand, obviously. With this, you can just stick your hand right through, you can hold it like that, you can hold it like that if you want, but you're right there at the dog. Okay? Simple lead, but effective. And we've been doing, the demand for these has been crazy. So this is our padded collars. You can have a 25mm ring there, or a 32.
However, we might be changing the rings to D rings. Possibly. Maybe.
Probably not, because then they wouldn't get the 32s.
Would they not?
No. I think
Okay.
we'll stick with rounds. So it comes with 25mm, or if you're one of these mushers that goes out with gloves and stuff like that, and you need a bigger ring just to get that snap right on there, you might want to go for the 32. One thing I would say about the 32mm ring, it's like everything else, it's got plus points and minus points. Plus points, big ring, get that snap on there dead easy, no messing around when the dogs are on the gangline, etc. The downside, the downside to a big ring, as far as the dog's concerned, it can be clattering off its neck and its jaw and when it's running. So it's these small things that we all think about and that you want to think about as well. So this comes in two styles. It comes in come with a plastic snap. Now what I'm going to say about the plastic snaps, in all the years that we've been making collars with plastic snaps,
Not
we've made
nylon.
Sorry, I call them
They're
plastic
nylon.
with a nylon. And we've made them for, we made an awful lot of pet collars before we started doing Rundog, and a lot of them had the plastic snap, nylon
snaps.
There are good ones and there are bad ones. We've never really had a problem with any of them unless dogs start chewing them, etc. I've never had one, especially this brand, I've never had one where it's broken.
Oh,
where it's actually broken that way. Now, you might have, all I'm saying is, I swear I'm not, I'm
Don't be
not
doing
going
that.
to do anything like that. But as far as I can remember, we've not had one issue, and Gail's nodding away in the background, where it's actually broken that way. What you do need to watch, and when I've used these on my own dogs, the main problem I do have when you're doing these is if you're going to grab the dog and if you're putting a neckline on, or if you're putting a lead on, or whatever, it's quite easy for your fingers to accidentally press that and for it to come undone that way. That's happened to me before. So
It's never happened to me.
I would suggest if you're using plastic snaps,
Nylon snaps.
nylon snaps, God's sake, old habits, eh? If you're using them, grab your collar there, okay, rather than there. It'll happen every now and again, and you might have a dog that's not a problem. They might come back to you no problem, and recall might be great, but that's your problem with the snap. The benefits of the snap, a lot of people don't like having collars on their dogs in the kennel. I've had quite a bad fight where one of the dogs got his head around the collar and he got his jaw twisted in the collar. You can remember that, no? Okay, too. And it was a right carry on. I was absolutely knackered trying to get them apart. So every time I twisted the jaw out, she was going back again. I have another go. So there's lots of different reasons. You know, they might get caught in something.
But was that on a collar like that, or was that on a...
That was a fixed collar.
Right, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they've got kennel dogs, or even dogs coming into the house, they like to be able to take the collar off and put it away, and then when they're taking the dog back out, just snap it on. Nice comfortable collar, and away you go. Well, like I say, you can have quite a bit of trust in those. I can't give any guarantee, obviously, but they're pretty well made, those ones. So that was the padding. Now, as soon as we brought this out, everybody wants reflective, don't they? Nobody's ever happy. So the problem with putting reflective on this is trying to get through this slider. If you've got... For these types of, where we've got the reflective sewn in there underneath the webbing in between the padding, it works because it's not going through any kind of slider or anything. But when these are 25mm sliders and that's 25mm webbing. Ideally, it's not supposed to be any wider. So we weren't really sure how we could do that, or if it could be done. But we've managed it. The cough you hear in the background is Gail, because Gail managed it, not me. Is that the way down there?
I was looking at the collars, I wasn't looking at you.
Oh, I see. Right, so we tried two different ways with the padding underneath. Now the reason Gail made it that way with the padding underneath was so it's on when it's on the dog, you've got the reflective underneath, and you've got the reflective underneath there as well. So that's why she did it with the reflective underneath.
But then Billy thought it was wrong.
Yeah, I just feel reflective should be on the top there, and you can see we've done it with a D-ring as well. The nice thing about a D-ring, see that there, it's going to rub away at that, and it's also a bit uncomfortable on the dog's neck potentially, but not when they're pulling, because when they're pulling, here's another good thing about these collars as well. Right, so ideally when that's connected and the dog's on your left hand side, run Doug, run that, right? There's no hardware underneath here, around here, potentially, that's going to be sore on their neck. So when they're pulling on there, this bit isn't, the neck's not going to be tight on there anyway. So that D-ring, even though it moves like that.
I agree, Malin. Reflective on top will disappear when the dog has fur.
That's a good point. Nice one, Malin. Yeah, yep, I hadn't even thought about that. Right. Right, okay. So for that reason, maybe it should go on the bottom.
But then if it's a real proper furry dog, then you wouldn't see it really anyway, would you?
It'd still be better off on the bottom for that reason. Because it's going to be digging into the fur on the top, isn't it?
Aye.
Good one, Malin. So yeah, so I think we'll stick with the rings. So it's right, so if you're getting these reflective colours from us, it makes it a lot tighter here. This isn't, you don't want to be taking these on and off because it's tight to get that. Once you get that to the right size for the dog, you kind of want to leave it on there. You don't want to be taking it off and on all the time. But it's the only way we can really get that reflective on there.
The good thing about it being
It does look cool though.
so tight though around the slider is that it's not going to shift.
No. So for people that are wanting, if you've got dogs on chain and tether, for example, you've got the comfort of the padding, and you've got the security. It's not going anywhere. That's not going to slacken off.
Lisa Tang, any suggestions where you might put an ID tag or flat on one of your collars?
No, but the question did come up a couple of days ago. I think it was Kate Campbell that came up with it, and there was a bit of a discussion about it. So you can get the flat ones. I don't know if that's what you mean. There's two types. You can get them with a hole that's got to be the collar's got to be made into it. You slide it over the webbing, put it in place, and then fix it all up. If you wanted us to do those, and I'm not really sure I want to, my worry is it's going to damage the padding and stuff once it's on there.
I don't know what you mean about the flat one.
It's like we had them in the shop. We were doing them in the shop for a little while. If you imagine a plate, a rectangle plate, and it's got elongated holes at either end, and you put the webbing through.
All right, okay.
You see what I mean?
Aye.
So you've got that raised bit there that's got
Right,
got
okay.
the details on it,
Right.
and the other side is behind it.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Is that not going to rub on the dog then?
Well, potentially that as well. You've got an area. Yeah, I mean, if you've got that like that, the way it's supposed to be, it's going to have to go somewhere around there. So potentially, it's either going to be on the throat, or it's going to be at the back where the pull point is. So
well, you could potentially put a tag on the loop instead of the ring. And that
yeah,
bit.
aye. Well, that's what I noticed. Cindy, that's what Cindy did with hers. So the other one, you can get the same kind of idea as that, where it's a brass plate, and it's actually open. There's an open bit at the back there where you can just fold the webbing and put it in, and they supposedly stay in place pretty well. I don't want to put them on my collars because I don't want them damaging them, and I don't like the idea of them sticking out into the dog's neck. It's quite tender around here. A lot more so than we realise half the time. And for me, making stuff like this, I've got to be aware of all those things and try and avoid them. So I would rather just sell it like this. If you want to put tags and stuff on, you can put them on there. You could maybe get somebody to embroider something on there, but we don't do the embroidery either. If you put embroidery on there, you're going to ruin the look. You're going to ruin the... So that's just about us, I think. Has anybody got any other questions? Do socks.
I think that's it. Nobody's coming back.
We'll probably wrap it up there. What I did want to say at the start, we're going to be doing some more professional videos that we're going to load up onto YouTube, and they'll all have titles and descriptions and all that kind of thing. So as a point of reference, when you want to look up something that we've maybe discussed, you'll be able to find them a lot easier rather than in the videos that are on the Facebook page just now. So we're going to try and gear up the website a lot more for that. We'll have blogs. Should have done that today, obviously. I've got to get my head around how to use the website a bit more effectively, and things like blogs and things like that we're going to try and do more of. So there'll be better reference points to help you find the information in the future. Okay. If you want to add any more questions once we've closed this down, please feel free. We're here to answer anything. You'll always get the truth from us, unless I have to tell you a lie. I think that's it.
That's it. Louise, thanks for this. Lisa, thanks for the informative chat. Malin, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.
Cheery bye.
Bye.